Hi, I'm Colleen Kernan with Tuscan Women Cook. I'm a 15-year breast cancer survivor as of July of this year. I'm happy to report, and I'm beyond thrilled to be part of this conference. I'm so excited to share with you some really quick, easy, healthy recipes. Sometimes if you're in treatment or the person who's helping you, we just need some ideas. And this started, Sharon Schlesinger saw one of my videos, and I was really only doing them for my friends because almost every day somebody would call and say, what should I make for dinner? Because that's the hard part, is what to do. I mean, once we get started and you have your ingredients, it's real easy. So today, and what I'm trying to do this month of October is to use ingredients that you really have in your house and really make it easy. So today is we're going to make our own ricotta cheese, and we're going to have it with a roasted chicken and a penne and a red sauce. So the red sauce is super easy. We're going to start that up first. I've already got the pasta water going. That takes a while. And the chicken, you can just buy one if you want, like a roasted chicken from your market. Some of them are really, really good. I had time I could roast it. You just put it in, salt, pepper. And you don't want to have a lot of ingredients in this chicken because you're using it for a dish. But what we're going to do in one of our other classes this month is do a stock class. So especially if you roast your own chicken, don't throw out any of that. You can use all of it, and then we'll make a really good rich chicken stock with it. We're made veggie stock with our other leftover ingredients. So at Tuscan Women Cook, the food is so good because it's so clean. And the nonas, our grandmas, that teach our classes, that's why it's Tuscan Women Cook. They, everything's fresh. They pull the basil out of their garden, the tomatoes, but they do like to use canned tomatoes. And I will say, one of the things I've learned over there in Italy is, I like the San Marzano and the tomatoes, they have a bit more flavor. In the can, always use canned for these sauces. There's no need to go peeling and doing all that. It's crazy town. But get the peeled whole, because the crushed tomatoes in the can are the inferior tomatoes. So these are actually superior tomatoes. So they come whole because they're not part of the leftover tomatoes. So this recipe will be on the website, and this is just our Nona's red sauce. It's super easy. Oh, yay. Didn't need this. And simple. So all we're going to do is put a pretty generous, and here's the other thing. I'm going to double this because why not? We're here and we're doing it. So it takes about 30 minutes to cook, even double. So I'm going to put a little bit more of this. About 6 chopped cloves of garlic, and let the oil get a little hot first. And then we're going to let that cook up. Put the tomatoes in and tear a bunch of garlic. I had some left over. I think I was so excited that colander hack where we had so much basil, and there was put the stems in the colander and slide it in, and you have a big colander full of basil. And I actually did the thing that I always say I'm going to do, and I never have, which is I made pesto and I froze it in the ice cube trays and actually did that whole thing, and then took them out and put them in baggies. So it was a productive day yesterday. And the basil too, is so fresh. And when you make the pesto, I used almonds because the pine nuts right now are so crazy expensive. So I'm not using those. In Italy, where we are in the region of Tuscany, we're in Montefelonico, in a tiny little village, a walled village, and the pine trees line a lot of the roads with the Italian cypress, the cipresse. So I can see in how pine nuts are made or how they're grown, and why they're so expensive, because there's so much labor involved to get these pine nuts. So really revere them, because that's why they're expensive. Beautiful. So just gonna drop the garlic in here, get this sauce started, and also, I'm going to get this going, and then we're going to do the ricotta, because that takes about 20 minutes also to about 20 to 23 minutes to drain and cook. So again, the ladies that teach our classes, so we cook in the morning, And you cook in the morning and we tour in the afternoon. But the nonas are really the highlight of the trip because they, you know, if you look at their hands and they always have their nails done perfectly, but they are workers and they just they do everything. It's so strong. It's so beautiful. So it's just a pleasure for me to be involved with Tuscan Women Cook and be able to go to Italy. Hopefully we can go there next year. So we're just gonna get these cooking and just open this, get it going. It smells divine in here. So it's easier to get them, and sometimes, because I hate wasting anything, I'm just gonna rinse out this, put a little water in here. And then, just do that. That way we get all the goodness. And it's easier to crunch these up or chop these up when they've cooked a little bit more. So now, I got some splash of tomatoes in here. So now I want to get this really clean because we're going to make the homemade ricotta. Super, super, super easy. I highly recommend that you do this. So, I do need this burner. My oven is quite old and I probably need a new one, but I love it so much I don't want to. So, but if you go to, we also at Tuscan Women Cook, we have a collaboration with Viking Appliances. They have a new line called Tuscan. It is beautiful, but we also get a discount. So if you go to our website, TuscanWomenCook.com, there's a Viking link and you can see, and there'll be a part there where you can get a discount on some Viking products. So yay. Our pasta's going, but I'm gonna let it go for a while. I do wanna show you, when you cook your pasta, really use a generous amount of salt. I've already salted this, but I want to show you. I mean, it is, I just use a handful, but it's this much. You know, it's a lot. So just remember that. Because if you don't, your pasta doesn't really have any flavor. All right, here we go. The 4 cups, you want to use a good pan for this, for the ricotta. 4 cups of whole milk. And you're going to bring that to a boil. Well, not yet. And then 2 cups of heavy cream. And we're going to get that going. And it's got to come to a full boil. But you got to watch it. So yesterday I made, I don't know what's going on yesterday, but I just cooked all day long. Sometimes that's therapy. I don't know for you guys, it's absolutely therapy for me. Sometimes just the chopping. But yesterday I made well, actually I could show you. I made I made a million things yesterday, but one of them is this, and I can put the recipe up if you want. It says ginger crisp crust, like from ginger snaps, and pumpkin cheesecake with a caramel topping. And I made the caramel. So it was really kind of fun because I'm a terrible baker. And I was making this for a birthday. And so I was kind of excited that I accomplished that. I haven't tasted it yet, but, hopefully good. My daughter is a really good baker because she measures. That's the problem. Usually, especially in our classes when people come to Italy, it's a very non-scientific polling, but mostly the people, they're either cooks or bakers, and generally you don't see both. I have a friend, my neighbor Rita, she is both, but most people are not. So you kind of find your poison. Generally people who don't measure are cooks, and the ones who do are bakers. So we're writing finishing our cookbook right now, and you can see that online when that comes out. But writing a recipe for me was really challenging. We had a lot of food, they're all tested after, but thank gosh, because it's really hard to actually write a recipe. You think about what you know, but there's a lot of things people don't know. And my sister, for one, is a person that reads. She will use her the recipe for something she's made 35 times. So, and I met somebody yesterday that's like that. So that's just how we are. Actually, it was Pat Harvey when we did the telethon for Susan Komen. So speaking of Komen, I want to thank everybody at Komen because 15 years ago, they were such a resource for me. And this conference, LA to New York, is just what a gift. And these breakout sessions are so incredible. I'm just learning so much from everybody and I'm just loving it. So thank you again, Susan Komen, and all the fearless people that are involved. And happy to be doing this. I'm thrilled. I'm also usually in Italy in October, and that's the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm happy and blessed to be home for now. So, well, I'm only gone in the spring for 6 weeks and the fall for 6 weeks. So it's a really fun time. Tomatoes are looking nice and good. Gonna put the basil in, and you can do however you be you with your herbs. But if any of my nonas saw me cutting basil, I might get fired. So you just gotta tear them up, and they would just, you should see them work. You go on our website and see their hands. This is fascinating to me. They're so beautiful. So we're watching the milk, making sure it doesn't burn. So that was what yesterday making this caramel. You probably have made caramel yourself. I had not. And you really have to watch that. And the sugar was really fascinating. Watch that break down, and it was really a fun thing. And it was pretty easy. So if anybody wants that, you can just PM me, or I'll put it up on the Huva site, the Komen site. So I'm adding a lot of basil because I want to use it up, and I feel really good about that. I made pesto yesterday because so it's just using up all this stuff is important. And I'm not going to salt this till the end. There's a lot of talk about salting and peppering at the end or at the beginning, and I don't think it really matters that much, but there are purists that will argue the point. So our milk is looking good, but again, it's got to get to a full boil. And then when it does, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And then that's also another fascinating process because the ricotta will separate into basically the curds and the whey. So we're going to take we're going to dampen this cheesecloth. It's double layered, and put it over a sieve like this, or whatever kind you have, and pour the ricotta or the curds into there and let it sit for 20 minutes or so on the recipe. If you like a firmer ricotta, which I think for this, what we're going to do with this is add some of the ricotta to the red sauce. And so it'll be a creamy ricotta red sauce. And this red sauce, like I said, I suggest, you don't have to, that you double it because you can freeze it. Freezes great, and then you can use it on so many things. You can, and it's vegetarian too. So there's nothing, actually, it's vegan. Well, I have to check the tomatoes, but this is a really healthy sauce to use on so many things. You can put it over vegetables. You can bake with it. Put squash or zucchini or whatever, or the winter vegetables. The root vegetables are coming out now. It's just a really, really versatile dish. And all right, so then, like I said, with the chicken, I'm going to take the rest of this chicken, the pieces, and I'm going to put those in a sauce. And it's a friend, I think I mentioned it on another class. He's not feeling too well, so I'm going to give that to him. And it's really healthy and easy. And I probably won't use the legs or the thighs or the wings, so because I just use the breast, but I do want the bones. So to make this, I do want the carcass to make the stock. So it works out great and all good. So that's that. And so we also said that, and we've sent out a couple now, send us a photo of your dish that you've made that we've cooked in this month of October, and we'll mail you a Tuscan Women Cook dish towel. So that's a fun thing, and that's been fun handing those out. And on Friday, I was wearing my Laker jersey because go Lakers. They lost on Friday, but they won yesterday. So that was exciting. And all of Los Angeles was a Twitter about it. So we're happy that they won. And moving on to the next thing. Just going to stir this a little because it'll get a little skin on top, a little skin on top. You just want to make sure that it doesn't do that. As you can see, all my spoons are burned because the bad habit of doing that. And I read somewhere, if you have a pot and it's boiling over, say you're making something where it starts to, like pasta even, and you haven't put enough water in, and it starts to boil over, the nonos will blow into it, like that. I'm not going to do that because COVID, giving some of this food away. So you blow on it, it will dissipate the bubbles. So it has worked for me. Also, if you leave your spoon on top of it, allegedly, they will stop that as well, but I haven't been successful with that. So, this is looking good. I'm going to turn it down a little so it just simmers. And it's really, you can also add a lot. You can add to this a lot too. We also have a another recipe that we'll do where we do a meat sauce. And the secret to that meat sauce is it is so delicious, and I could talk for days about it. However, this is a really simple sauce. Our meat sauce is very simple as well. The trick is, and we'll do it, but this sauce takes about 4 hours, but it's worth it. And you make a lot of it, and you freeze it, and you use it, and use it, and use it. So in your pan, because you're going to make a lot of it, you put ground beef and pork. We don't use veal because a lot of traditional recipes, they use veal, pork, and ground and beef. But, and I like to use the full fat one, but you can definitely skinny it down. The veal, because it's such a long cooking recipe, it doesn't hold up in flavor nor texture. So what we do is we take the meat and brown it, and the meat will brown for almost an hour before you add your acid. So it's really a great recipe. It's laborious, but it is so good, and people just rave and rave. And it's some of these things are so simple, but those are the best things. And especially these recipes we're getting from Italy and all that is just incredible. All right, so our milk is kind of boiling. So on our meat sauce, we also make lasagna, which they call pasta al forno, which will roll out and actually our nonna Ada, who makes this pasta al forno, uses 7 to 8 layers of pasta because it's so thin. So what comes through is the pasta. So we're not globbing on tons of red sauce and mozzarella cheese, and it's so simple because the meat sauce is absolutely delicious. We do a little test where we've cooked the meat for 40, 50 minutes or so, or you can tell when it's nice and brown, it caramelizes. And so the color of the meat sauce is incredible too. So that being said, we do a little taste test. After we caramelize the meat, pour the acids in and the wine, that then cooks for another couple hours. So we do a taste test as to when that extra 2 or 3 hours, wherever we're going to cook it after is, and it's night and day. So this pasta al forno just is incredibly thin, light, and you bite into it. There's probably pictures of it on our website because it's so good. And our nonna there, she does use a pasta maker. So the kind, it's an atlas where you clamp it on and roll it through. So it's just really fun to do. Maybe we'll have a chance to do that this month. I have somebody made me a really big pasta board, a cutting board, did I get it? Now I'm blowing on it. That happened to me last time I made this. So taking this off the heat, talking too much, and now I can't. Now I have to make my friend some without my boiling on. Just stir in 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And this is gonna curdle up. I'll show it to you when it curdles so you can see. I probably have to pick up the pan. But I'm on too. I'm gonna wet this. Poor Emery, I'm moving all over the place. So it's just gonna be damp. Just a little damp. This one's not absorbing too much. And I'm gonna lay it on here. So, and then it'll drain through. And now, again, if you want a wetter ricotta, you're going to go about 20 minutes, and to be more firm, you're going to, there we go. So I'll show you. Pan boiled over, but I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? So all the science is happening right now. It's really interesting. I don't know if you can you see it. A nice cleanup there. This is going. Yeah, I'm gonna turn that down a little. Got a couple rogue tomatoes in here. So again, if you have any questions, we had some really good questions last time on. We made a vegetarian sausage chorizo, it was, on Friday, and had some good questions about the flavors and the texture of the vegetarian versus regular sausage. So to me, it's a personal preference. I thought that chorizo, it was pretty good. And my friends, I took that to a Laker game watching party, or not party, it was just another couple, but I didn't tell them until after, and they had no idea. So, give it a go. Let's see how it goes. This needs to cook up a little bit more there we go. I'm just gonna give this about 30 more seconds. Do what it needs to do. And okay. Pasta's looking good. And you can use, we're using penne. And there's a million different types of pasta, and there's even different types of penne. So this is penne these today, but I think most people, it's a little thinner, and it's a little thinner than normal penne, and I kind of like it. But you can use any kind of pasta. We like penne for the red sauce too. So on Friday we made orecchietta, which means little ears, because they're like little cups, because it was a meat sauce, so it would hold the meat really well, which is why you see that, like rigatoni and things like that, with meat sauces and things that catch that. So some of this is just based on logic. So she is going right in here. You have to let it drain. Best if you have the cheesecloth. Maybe I can show you this. I want to let it drain out a little bit more. So this is draining through. I kind of dump the cheesecloth is best if it's up higher on the sides, but that's why I'm going to have to do it in pieces. But here you can see, the curds weigh more than the whey, so we've got some of this left in here, but I want that to drain out a little bit more before we do that. So it's going, looking good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the pasta in now. And this pasta usually goes about 10 minutes or 8 minutes. So it's going to be al dente again, because normally when you're cooking, especially for other people, you've got other things going on. So I always want to have my pasta be a little bit al dente for that reason. So I'm going to do that. And again, make sure you heavily salt your water. Depending on your diet, if you can't, then don't worry about it. But that does help with the pasta, and then you eliminate some of the seasonings later too, so you don't have as much salt in the diet. And then we're going to, once this is coming together, I'm actually going to add some more basil to this. This sauce is going to have a lot of basil in it, but that's okay because I want to use it up. So This is a really pretty one that I'm going to save because it'll look pretty on top of the pasta. So when you get those, the little baby ones, they look good as little decorations. So I'm just going to tear these in and wash. I don't know how long we have today, so sorry I started late. I was on the wrong Zoom. But also, so the ricotta recipe is on the site, the Hula site and the Komen sites, and I'll put up the roasted chicken and red sauce, which we call sugo. But in Italy, they call it sugo, which is sauce. And a lot of families do that. They call it sauce, or it's just called sauce because that's what their family's been doing for generations. A lot of American Italian families know what I'm talking about. So back to Komen. Before I was diagnosed, there was a woman in my neighborhood had a great clothing store, and her name is Sharon Schlesinger, and she's been involved in Susan Komen for more than 15 years, because that's when I met her. But before I was diagnosed, I met this great lady who told me she had been metastatic, and she was donating proceeds from the sales of her clothing store to Susan Komen, but I had no idea what it was. So I said, okay. So then I got diagnosed, and of course I talked to her, and she's amazing. And she was so helpful, and she told me about Susan Komen, and I had 48 days of radiation, which was a lot, but I was younger, and younger is more aggressive. So they really went at it. And I did a fundraiser because every day after my radiation, I went running in the hills by my house, and it was really cathartic for me because by the time I was finished, I just moved on, went to work, and carried on, and I felt good. I was lucky like that. So at the end, people would come with me. Like, oh, can I go with you today on your radiation day? Yeah. So at the end, I wanted to have a party to celebrate end of radiation, and so we did a beach cup, which is the double D's walked over the hills, and then the triple A's or double A's just did a mile or a half a mile or whatever. So it was really, really fun, and we ended up raising a lot of money. And I asked everyone to donate to Susan G. Komen. We didn't really know, none of us were in the world of it, and certainly hadn't expected, to be so involved. But it turned out to be one of the bigger fundraisers for Susan Komen in Los Angeles. So it was a really, really fun day. And we did it subsequently a couple of years after that. So then I started this Italian thing, and I've been gone in October, so we haven't done it for a couple of years, but looking forward to doing that again. And I'm going to incorporate that back into my life. I'm going to manifest that back into my life. So you can't see this, but here's what I was talking about. And again, I'm not going to blow on this one because I don't need to, but it's foaming up. And my water had cooked down. It probably would have normally had cooked it in a little bit more water. You always want to have enough water for the pasta to move around freely, so each piece cooks evenly. That's the idea behind that. So that's why we do that. But we get lazy or start talking, and then there you go. So she's almost done, and we'll take those out in just a few minutes. And what else? Another really great dish. This is so easy. You could put the penne with the sauce and put it al forno, put it in the oven and bake it, put some parm on top of it, and there you go. You have a quick dish like that. So there's always ways to save your food and make something else out of it. And that's what we're doing here. So our ricotta is looking good. She's drained out a little bit of butter. The rest of that in there. Make this for an easier cleanup. Back there. And then I've been watching the clock. I can't, say because usually that's how I set my timer, but the phone is the camera. So, all right. What else? We're going to serve this with just some arugula. You can see this here. I'm not a fan of over saucing salads, over dressing them. So just going to do a little olive oil and some Parmesan cheese. It's a good one, because it's simple ingredients. You're only use your good olive oil, use your good Parmesan. There's 3 things in that salad. So it's going to be really, really easy. And actually, I think I'm going to use up the rest of this basil and put it in the salad too. So then we're really using, that was pretty we're really using up all this basil. And this will be a nice little bite for that salad. So we, okay, you can't see it, but I got another zucchini. If you grow zucchini, I don't even know what to say about it. I got another one that's it's this big. And we've made so many zucchini dishes around here. I don't even want to make any more, but I just have grated zucchini now, sliced zucchini, and zucchini carpaccio. But I'm really, I don't even know what we're going to do about that. So I'll just mix that in. Yes, I'm using my hands. And, all right, this needs about 7 more minutes. And we're just going to squeeze out the rest of I'm just going to give her a little help here just to get it going. But definitely try to line the cheesecloth all the way up, because I did, but it wasn't enough. And I kind of knew it when I was doing it, but I got lazy. So that happens. All right. Oh, it smells so good. And just so easy to do. And even, look, I boiled it over, and it's, it's kind of foolproof. So you can, and you'll have it, you could do other things with it on the recipe that I posted today. We did a segment, just fresh berries from the market with homemade ricotta sweetened, and you just add, once this is finished, we'll cool it down, refrigerate it. Well, actually, if you're making a sweetened one, let it still be warm and just add a little bit of vanilla and honey. And there you have a beautiful dessert. And you put it on the fresh berries with a little sprig of mint or basil. And that is easy, really easy. And actually, that would be a really nice meal, with a dessert for this meal, because you could use your ricotta 2 ways. And then you could never have enough cheese. So I'm squeezing her out. It's a little hot. So, yeah, I need a bowl. Maybe a bigger one. Thanks, Anne-Marie. My dear friend Anne-Marie, camera woman, who people think I'm saying Anne-Marie, but her name is Anne-Marie. So I'm just going to give this a little squeeze. Yeah, it's hot. So it makes a fair amount. This is a new cheesecloth for me, and I'm not a fan. It's a little too thick. There we go. I'm trying to squeeze that remaining juice out of there, or whey, as the case is. But it's really hot. So don't do this at home. If I have, when I've done it before, which is a different cheesecloth, I think this is because it's organic or something, you could squeeze it on the top, because I have enough give to do that, but today I did not. It's really hot. Yeah. I'm going to keep this one fairly wet, because we're going to put some of it in the pasta sauce. So it's pretty darn good. I'm going to let it cool a little. There's some more in here too that I'm not using, so we're just going to save that for later. All right. Well, that looks good. All right, you see it. So there's more in there. So it'll make it comes out to about, once it cooks down, about más o menos, più o meno, more or less, probably about 3 cups, 2.5 to 3 cups. So again, you could use this for your sauce and your dessert. I'm only using a little bit of this for the sauce, because you just want to give it some creaminess, not a lot. I mean, what else I want to do is, pasta's done. So I like doing this because you never know. I don't like to dump all that water out. So usually I'll just use the spider like this, except the handle is very hot. So all my handles are burned. So I'm just going to put this in here. Take out the pretty little basil. And this way I can keep the sauce if I want. I can make a sauce, kind of thicken up the you're using other sauces. Sometimes I save this pasta water for that reason. So we are looking good. But here's the thing. Since I doubled the sauce recipe, I want to pour some of it in here because I don't want to freeze the one that has ricotta in it, right? So I'm just going to. Actually, I'll do that the other way around. Think about it. I'm using my blunt brain here. Going to. I'm going to do it this way. I'm actually going to keep this one cooking and just use enough of this sauce for our. That's a couple good chunks of garlic in there. And add the ricotta to this. Oh, my utensils are there. We want to get that sauce on the pasta because it's going to stick. So here we go. Now that looks good. See? So you just added a little extra something to it. Looks good. Give us a scoop out some of this here. Yeah. And go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the chicken in this sauce here, so that every little bite has some of that delicious sauce on it. And put a little bit more in here. There we go. And this sauce, this is going to be really good. Get it really nice and mixed in there. There we go. That is good stuff, my friends. And I did not salt this. I didn't salt the pasta water. I mean the sauce. So I'm going to run a little pepper. Excuse me. Over this. My cute little piece of basil gum. Okay. Go. There it is. Forgetting anything? Voila. Parmesan cheese. Oh. Parmesan cheese. Your arugula salad. Little chicken. It's done. And I think that was not even 45 minutes. So that's a fast, easy dish for you to do. And you're going to have extra sauce. Again, I recommend that. And thank you for joining us. I can't wait to see you on Wednesday. We have a lot of good stuff on deck and can't wait to share it with you. So thank you so much.